LSU basketball will play in the NCAA men's tournament. The Tigers are set to face Iowa State in the first round. The Tigers laying 4 points as a favorite. Over-under set at 126. But it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird because Will Wade is out as LSU's head basketball coach. The school announced on Saturday he was terminated for cause, and Bill Armstrong has also been fired as the associate head coach. Obviously, this comes after a notice of allegations from the NCAA, which first reported on Tuesday. LSU now charged with 5 Level 1 violations, including allegations of paying players, attempting to pay others for their silence, among other charges. Now LSU football and basketball both are accused of a lack of institutional control over a span of 8 years, with LSU charged with 8 Level 1 violations between the two sports. There's a lot to unpack here, Musso, both in the present moment and going forward, but my initial thoughts was I feel really bad for the team. And Will Wade touched on this the other day after the win against Missouri. The team, present day, was not supposed to be distracted by this because they didn't have anything to do with any of this. Nobody that is on the team right now had anything to do with any of these allegations. And what happened to Will Wade, you can argue, is what he deserved. And now LSU has a lot of questions to answer going forward. But I just feel really bad for the team that now has to go to the NCAA tournament without their head coach.
Yeah, this is the second time this has actually happened at LSU, of course, with Will being suspended in the 2018 season, and Benford being the interim head coach that go round. You mentioned feeling bad for the team, and absolutely sure. I mean, look, that's normally, unfortunately, that's normally how this situation plays out. It's guys who aren't named in any of these none of these players were named in that suit. None of them are the ones at fault here.
Unlike the 2019 team.
But you end up, the good suffer for the bad in a lot of situations like this. It's the same argument people have anytime NCAA sanctions are levied against anybody, and most likely will be against LSU, and you'll have the argument then is, well, I mean, the current team didn't have any part in this. Why are they the ones being penalized? So, yeah, man, I hear you, and I'm with you. It does suck for the team, but it sucks just in general. I mean, this felt like the outcome that was probably eventually going to happen for a while, I guess. I mean, everybody wanted this to not be how it went, but when you go through the NOA and you see things that are alleged, it would have been hard. It would have been hard to move forward with Will. It's not something you like. It's something you kind of understand, and it's tough because it comes after a year like this where there was the most energy and the most interest in the program that there has been in years.
Yes.
I mean, I think, they were very good last year. They won an SEC championship in 2018, but it still felt like there was the most interest this year. Like it had finally kind of all come to a head. Being in the PMAC for a number of games this year, seeing that atmosphere that had finally been brought back, seeing how LSU, how Will Wade, how the staff had embraced the students, embraced the crowd to help lead that back. Everything they did promotionally with, the general bit and things of that nature. There was just so much buzz around the program. You saw anger when it didn't go well for LSU basketball, and you hadn't seen that in a long time. And Will himself even saying, I mean, look, that's when you know that they care. It's when they don't care that you're in trouble. For far too long, there wasn't a care when it came to the performance of the LSU men's basketball team. There finally was again. You hoped you could continue with that. You won't be able to. And now, unfortunately, you can't look forward with this program and think that there will be a care in the near future.
Yeah, this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. You're going to see attrition. You're likely going to see players transfer. Adam Miller tweeted out yesterday that it was one of the toughest days of his life. That's one of many names that we're going to need to be watching going forward. But as you said, not really a surprise. The timing is just terrible. And honestly, whether you're a player, whether you're a fan, however you're associated with the program, it's a really embarrassing day to be an LSU basketball fan or to be associated with the program. And it's a shame because Will Wade did so much good, in my opinion, especially in terms of just an X's and O's basketball coach. I mean, from the onset, he takes over a program that's the worst in the SEC, reeling from the end of the Johnny Jones days and all the underachieving with Ben Simmons and Blakeney and everything that happened before he took the job. But he is a hell of a basketball coach, in my opinion. And it might be harder, honestly, Musso, for me to keep Will Wade in good favor as we go here and as LSU gets the hammer because he messed up. He did a lot of things wrong, and I'm sure one day he'll tell you that himself. But I really, really enjoyed watching his teams from the onset. That first season, LSU gets to the NIT. One of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center in that game against ULF, yet which they won. And then the next season, one of the teammates, one of the players on the team gets tragically murdered in Wade Sims, and they're still able to put on the season that they did and win the SEC championship in the regular season. He did a lot of good in the basketball court, and again, he deserves a lot of the blame. He deserves all the repercussions that he's facing now. But there is definitely a cruel irony, at least in my opinion, in all this happening in the golden era of NIL. Like, all of these players are now legally getting paid, at least through certain avenues. And like I said, to me, there's just a cruel irony in that. And he deserves everything that's happening, but just really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's always an argument people are going to have. Is like, oh, it's legal now. Well, pay for play by the statute law, not. But yeah, it's happening. But you know what it is? It's the same thing like with Reggie Bush's Heisman, right? What
common sense kind of thing.
Well, no, it's not even just what the NCAA say with that. Well, when you did it, it wasn't legal. Well, they're going to say the same thing here. Like, so it doesn't, like, the NIL thing doesn't matter. You raise an interesting point there with the timing, and I know that's something a lot of people have said is, why couldn't they have waited till after the tournament? Well, I think it's just very obvious that Scott Woodward saw the opportunity and did it, because if you wait till after the tournament, what if LSU goes on a deep run? It's going to be a lot harder to fire him then. They're coming off a loss in the SEC tournament. It's very much still in the forefront of the news. They saw the opportunity and kind of just took it. The timing does suck. You would have liked to have seen it, at least happen after the year. But Scott was not going to leave any room for an upswell of fan support after they make a potentially deep run or something like that, like a former athletic director here at LSU. The opportunity was there with him and President Tate, and they went for it. And I was just trying to enjoy a baseball game on Saturday. A wrench got thrown in those plans.
Yeah, I was trying to take a nap. I woke up to a bunch of text messages on my phone, and I had to kind of process it for a minute to realize that it was real, but it was. And like you said, the timing just awful. And the statement from Tate and from Woodward, in my opinion, really simple, but also really telling. They said we can no longer subject our university, our athletic department, and most importantly, our student athletes to this taxing and already lengthy process without taking action. The notice of allegation came out last week, 2 weeks ago, very recently, doesn't matter. Whenever that happened, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. And again, I was holding out hope that this team could at least finish what they started, that they could at least go to the NCAA tournament with their head coach. But given everything that's happened and given everything that Scott Woodward has said, you can kind of read between the leaves. You can kind of tell that he was kind of waiting for this to happen. I mean, the quote that he said the last time he talked about this on the record was that Will Wade is our coach until he's not. And now, like we said, LSU is going to have to start mitigating damage control a little bit. They're going to have a lot of challenges in front of their face. And we can argue about how much it will help, but it will help them, in my opinion, to start this process now, despite the horrible timing. And firing their head coach, as somebody is on the Feinbaum show talking about.
Anyway. Sorry, my attention, I got distracted. That's my fault.
Can't tell who that is.
Yeah. Now you look forward, right? I guess.
You
try to look forward. I haven't come across anybody, at least associated here in Baton Rouge, with it that's happy with it. It's just, like you said, it's one of those things you understand with what was alleged. It was going to be tough to move forward with it, so you move forward without him. And you mentioned it there. They were clearly just tired of dealing with it. And not to say that Will Wade's not tired of dealing with it. The quote he had after the Missouri games, I look very much forward to talking about it when it's all said and done. And he'll get his chance to do that. But everyone's just, you can't subject it to it. Every March. And it's not even just every March. It's every time anything good was set to happen for this program, whether it be getting a recruit like a Musa Cisse, this would be drugged back up. It was just a permanent black eye that was never going to fully go away. And this was your path to do it. Now, I know a lot of people are already throwing out names. I will say this, you still have the process to go through. In that statement LSU released, they noted that this is not an acceptance of these charges. LSU's still going to fight it because they know sanctions are coming. And the phrase lack of institutional control being thrown around is scary.
Ish.
Because that's kind of the ultimate. That's the ultimate hammer that the NCAA can drop. Now, when you go through the violations in football, there's one level 1 violation attached to football, and it's just like, stop. Like, move along with that. Hopefully nothing big comes of that, but the phrase lack of institutional control is worrisome, and they're going to, as publicly as this played out, as defiantly as this played out from LSU's part, I can't see the NCAA sparing much punishment on the basketball program, which is upsetting and which will impact the hiring process. It's not going to be an attractive job for many.
Yeah, they won't spare much, but you still need to do it. You still need to eliminate every single race that you could at least try to eliminate if you're the LSU athletic department. I don't think it will affect football either. As you said, most of these allegations are against the basketball team, and football already did a little bit of litigation, self-imposing the bowl ban a couple of years ago. I would think they would be okay, but make no mistake that LSU's intentions here are also to protect their football program, and I think they'll be okay, but it's unfortunate that all of this had to get tied in together between the basketball allegations and what happened with Odell Beckham after the football game. Like, it was a messy saga, but I agree with you. The football will probably be okay. Basketball, not so much, especially, as you said, not knowing what the penalties are even going to be as you're now trying to find a new head coach. This is going to be much different than any of the many coaching searches we've already covered with Scott Wood.
That is very true. Very true. So, trying times ahead for LSU men's basketball.
Yes, it is, my friend. LSU does not owe Will Wade any of the $3.1 million remaining in his buyout. The Tigers open NCAA tournament play against Iowa State this Thursday night. They will do so without their head coach, Will Wade, out as the LSU men's head basketball coach.